Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Birdie Golf Club podcast. For observant listeners and watchers, you may see that I'm not in my usual setup this evening. That's because we're recording on a bit of a different night tonight, because we're trying to get as much content ready for the Ryder Cup. When you're listening to it, we'll be days away, and for that we've got a real special guest this evening. We've got Dan Frankel. Thank you for joining me, Dan. And Dan is, I believe, the head of junior golf for the Met area of the PGA of America. So, Dan, thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Dave. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. And it's really frightening to think that after all the years of planning, that the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black is next week.
Oh, I can't imagine. I mean, when did, obviously, you're involved. Actually, do you know what, first, I want to first get to how do you end up being the head of junior golf for the Met division of the PGA of America, Dan? What's your story? How did you get there?
How many hours is the podcast?
As many as we want. As many as we want.
Well, it all started. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, I started full time with the Met PGA 15 years ago. Before that, I had been an intern, a tournament operations intern, helping to run tournaments for 4 years. And before that, I grew up playing on the junior tour that I now run. So the Met PGA has been a part of my life for almost 30 years. I started playing competitively when I was 9. But 15 years ago, I was offered a position as a tournament administrator, helping with both junior tour events as well as professional events. And as my career path became a little bit more clear, I really loved the foundation and the junior side of golf. And I was blessed to get hired as the director of junior golf about 10 years ago now. So
Right.
It's been an amazing experience. And just to be able to grow the game and to really make sure that golf is accessible to those who are most underserved by the game. It's an honor and privilege to be a part of that side.
That's beautiful. It's something that's said in the game of golf so much, and people look at it cynically as well, don't they, when people say grow the game. But I've learned through doing this podcast that there are so many different sections of the world of golf, of all different people from all different backgrounds, that generally the pattern is they just want to share the game with whoever it may be. It may be just a friendship group, or it can go even further, like yourself. I mean, I also had Isaac from Uganda on the podcast, and that's coming up soon, and he's doing incredible work to share it with kids that would never probably see the game of golf. And I don't think there's a, do you know what I'll say? I don't think there's a better job title in golf as far as the work that you're doing for juniors in the area of the sort of bigger sort of Met area. How big is it? I did have Dave on the podcast, Dave Clank, and he described it to me, but it was a while ago. It's a big area, isn't it? People just think New York, but huge.
Well, the interesting thing about New York is it really is a golf heaven. I mean, the thing is, the reason that people don't travel to New York necessarily for a golf trip, if you will, is because most of the clubs here that are so well known are private. So it's not as easy to have a buddy's trip and play some of these amazing places. But that being said, our program, we have about 5,000 junior golfers throughout everything that we do. We have our junior tour, which is everything to everybody. We have 9-hole tournaments for kids who are just getting their feet wet with competitive golf. We have 18-hole tournaments for, we call it our players tour, which is our intermediate level of competition for kids who are not quite ready for that national competition, but are really love the game and just want more exposure to it. And then we have our future series, which is our 2-day nationally ranked tournaments. And that's really become a very popular spot in our junior tour over the last few years, because those are the events that kids in our area need to help them get recruited to play college golf. So And then the junior tour is just part of what we do. We run drive, chip, and putt events. I'm sure I would assume across the pond you guys are familiar with the drive, chip, and
Mm.
putt national championship at Augusta at the Masters, which
Just
I'm
that,
representing today.
that small
Uh,
place, that small place, yeah.
maybe a little bit. And then PGA Junior League, which for lack of a better term is like Little League for junior golf, has also just taken off like wildfire over these
Awesome.
past few years throughout not only our area but throughout the country. So there's tens of thousands
Mm.
of juniors competing. So it's all about growing the game and making it more accessible for everyone.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And for those kids as well, I guess team sport was a huge part of what they've grown up with throughout other areas of sport in their life. So being able to incorporate that into golf to sort of help in that way that's a really cool idea,
Absolutely.
actually.
Thank
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. I mean, as you know, individual competition is so tough because
Mm,
everything rides on you and there's one winner and one loser. And
yeah.
when you're part of a team, it's a little bit easier, I think, to stomach the losses because you're really all in it together. But with individual sports like golf, you're in some ways, even though you do have your support system, whether it's your family, your coach, so on and so forth, the people that are really involved in your golf journey, um,
Mm,
I would say that it's so tough because in a field of 150 players, there's only one winner at the end of the day.
yeah.
So one of the things that I always say to kids especially is you need to make sure you have your own goals when you're playing in a tournament. You need to forget about winning. You need to make goals for
Mm.
yourself for the tournament, and if you achieve those goals, you've won that tournament. That's what you need to
That's
focus on. Don't focus on what place you come in, because even Tiger Woods, he didn't finish first every time, did he? You know, our golf is.
Part of nostalgia, we think, yes, he did.
Exactly.
Just look back and go, I think he just won everything. But
Yeah,
no, he lost more often than he won. I mean,
exactly.
that's golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy sport. Well, you alluded to it a little bit at the start, but how long in the planning, and I guess how much have you been involved as well in the planning, ready for Bethpage, ready for this week?
Yeah, great question. Um, the way that it works with the Ryder Cup and with obviously it's run by the PGA of America, who does such an unbelievable job to make this like the World Cup of golf. I mean,
Yeah.
I have been fortunate to see PGA championships locally and US Opens and other events. There has never been the hype that there is for any golf event that I've ever experienced in my life, remotely as close to this Ryder Cup. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to be a part of it. And both the PGA of America team from their national staff and the staff on site for the Ryder Cup have just done such a remarkable job of drumming up this hype and excitement. And I really don't think we'll ever see anything quite like this again. This event just was made for New York. It was made for Bethpage. And for the Met PGA, some of the main responsibilities that we have as a local section is we get our PGA professionals to volunteer and we run the driving range, the
Hmm.
short game area, some of the player shuttling. So if matches finish it a little bit early, drive them, their families, their entourage back to the clubhouse. So those are some of the main focuses that we've had. We're not necessarily as involved in the day-to-day focus. Um, I mentioned to you that I've had a little bit of a long day. I actually received a few calls today. I'll be actually announcing the players for the Junior Ryder Cup on Thursday. So the final round of the Junior Ryder Cup is right before the opening ceremonies this Thursday, or excuse me, a week from this Thursday. And I'll have the honor of announcing the players on the first hole. And actually, I also was asked there's a celebrity match, United States versus Europe, on Wednesday, and I'm going to be the announcer for that for both the first tee as well for the trophy presentation as well. So that's
Oh, what a cool
fresh off the
privilege.
press.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I bet you can't wait for that day. I mean, those are moments that you just don't expect to ever come, right? And then you
Yep,
get to do it. It's a real pinch yourself moment. That's amazing.
for
Are there
sure.
any names you're particularly worried about looking through the team sheets already?
So I know a lot of them, so I kind of know how to pronounce some of them, but
Perfect.
I definitely my rehearsal is on Sunday, and I'll follow up with you on any pronunciations I need to work on.
Please do, please do. That's such a cool thing to do,
So,
and that's going to be such an exciting week. I mean, what we get a lot of, and I think it's a lot of. It's interesting at the moment. It seems to be not negative, but I would say predicting that there's going to be some type of bad press from the event. That seems to be the culture of the news around the Ryder Cup for whatever reason.
mhm.
And I just wanted to ask you, as someone that's in the New York area, what is the overriding feeling around New York getting ready for Bethpage? What's the feeling amongst people?
That's a wonderful question. Well, I would say that one of the struggles as an American, and I don't know if I'm going to get in any trouble for saying this, but I would say that what we see a lot in the media historically at previous Ryder Cups is that the American players are not as dedicated to this event in their heart as they should be. And finding ways to engage this new generation of young Americans who are so unbelievably talented to understand the magnitude of the Ryder Cup and how special it is, and to really, have the fire within them to give it their all for this event.
Mm,
To really understand, like, this is as important as the Masters, the PGA Championship, the US Open, and the British Open. Like, this event is so remarkably special, and I think that it just appears, or at least the media has spun it this way in the past, that the Europeans have a lot more fire in their belly in that sense. So I think that one of the things that Captain Bradley has been working on for this year is lighting that fire for the American team and making sure that every ounce of their heart and soul is in it, because that's what we want. That's what us New
mm,
Yorkers want. We, no offense, want to see our American team win every single match. That's
of
what we want to
course.
see. And I think that obviously when it comes to match play and when it comes to the level of talent that both of these teams have, in my personal opinion, the way that this is going to come down to is how the European team reacts to the adversity of the crowd. Because the
Mm,
crowd, is going to be backing the Americans like you've never seen in your life.
yeah.
Welcome to New York. And I think that it can go one of two ways. Either the heckling and the whatever else goes on is going to affect them and they're going to struggle and we're going to get inside of their heads, or they're going to use it as motivation to beat the Americans. So I really think a lot of it is the mental side for the European team, because we know we have the talent. Both sides have the talent. It's just a matter of making those putts when it comes down to it at the end. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's one of those Ryder Cups you look at on paper, and normally there's like a clear favourite,
Mhm.
but you look at it and just go, I don't know. And like you said, that atmosphere. I mean, you have to play with an extra player. That's your 13th player.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it has to be. For
Mhm.
away, for home Ryder Cups, you know you're going into a cauldron of an atmosphere, or you're going with all the crowd with you, and you can ride that wave essentially, which seems to happen more often than not with home Ryder Cups. And I mean, I've heard people say that, things are going to kick off and, you're going to have crowds shouting all the time and it's going to be the rowdiest Ryder Cup ever. And I often say, so what? Like, this is one tournament we get every 2 years that is so different from the wider spectrum that is the game of golf.
Mhm.
And this is the event where it can be crazy, but also you're going to see unbelievable talent push through that craziness, and that is what the Ryder Cup is. I mean, do you think it will get like rowdy? I mean, I don't know how much you can even say on that, as part of the event. But do you think it will? Do you think it will get really crazy?
I think it has the potential to be in a positive way, without not
Sure.
not in a violent kind of way, but I think that it has the potential to be the rowdiest golf event that has ever happened.
Mm,
And I think that's okay. We
yeah.
have so many events that are buttoned up, and everyone is focused on golf and quiet, and exactly the
Yeah.
golf clap, the infamous golf clap. And I look back, actually, I was probably 15 then. How old was I? But the 2002 US Open.
Mhm.
And the US Open had always been a very straight-laced, quiet event. And when it came to Bethpage that year, I think there was a different ambiance, a different atmosphere than players had ever experienced. I think that a lot of them had a lot of trouble with it. I think of Sergio when he used to go, with his setup, and people are screaming at him, hit the ball, things like that. And no, I don't think any golfer was prepared for that at the time. So I think looking back on that, and that was, 23 years ago, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
Knowing what's on the line for this event, and just that it's a team event, and it's for the pride of your continent and your country. Um, I think that there's potential for it to be like the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. And moving on to Bethpage, I mean, you must know the course well, obviously, with it being within your. What would you say about Bethpage? What makes it so special? Obviously, we can all go on YouTube and look at videos and see the famous sign above the first and before you get there and all those and all the beautiful holes. But what is it about Bethpage, would you say, that gives you that special feeling when you walk through the doors?
I love that question so much. First of all, I am honored to call Bethpage home.
Mm,
Those 5 courses there, obviously everyone knows the Black, but there are
mm,
4 other phenomenal golf courses there that people, New Yorkers or really anyone, have the privilege of playing. And Bethpage is and will always be the people's country club. The way that the staff there takes care of that golf course, that facility, and makes it a home to so many. Every single golf course, not just the Black, tee times are full from sunrise to sunset every single day during the season, because they do such a remarkable job of giving opportunities to golfers, because there are so many courses, keeping them in phenomenal shape. The superintendents and their staff there are remarkable and work so hard, not just on the Black course, obviously, for the purposes of the major championships. There's a little bit of special attention paid to the Black course, but I think my favorite golf course in the world is Bethpage Red. It's just
mm,
majestic. There's no other way to describe it. Um, all the other 3 are incredible too. And, it's not only the golf staff there, but the golf professional staff, the head professional, Justin Koff, who works under director of golf, Kelly Brook, and director of instruction, Megan Youngman. They work tirelessly to grow the game there, to teach kids, to teach women, to teach anyone and everyone who's underserved by the game. And the atmosphere that they've created is helping to shape golf in this area for not only this generation, but generations to come.
exactly. And that's such a special thing, isn't it? The accessibility that comes with a course. It's sort of, I guess, the only thing you can really equate it to over here, from my knowledge, is St Andrews. The fact that you can turn up, before dawn, and try and get a tee time, try and get out if there's a space in a 3 ball. Um, and the ability, and you see the footage of people just queuing up in their cars and getting there the night before, ready to do it. I mean, all of that just leads to a very special feeling that you almost can't relate it to other golf courses as well, right? Because you have your country clubs and you have some very closed off areas, and then you've got very public golf courses where you can just walk on and get a tee time, and all areas need to be catered to. But there's something so special about these courses that leave space for a dream,
100%.
and that seems to be what Bethpage is all about, and all of the courses there deserve all the attention. It's almost like St Andrews. All of the courses in St Andrews deserve the attention, but
100%.
inevitably your championship, your prime real estate gets all that sort of attention, which is fair enough. How do you think they're going to set up Bethpage to
Whatever favors the Americans, that's what. Whatever lanes rough, whatever speed of greens. I don't know all the ins and outs of who does this and who does that, but whatever is going to be advantage Team USA, you better believe that's how the course is going to be set up. And then, it's only 3 days, and only a certain number of matches, so it's really going to be up to just how people show up that day. That's what it comes down to.
It looks like they've, from what I've seen, they've moved the first tee box sort of away from its iconic sort of position to the left.
That's right.
I believe. Now, I can only see one reason for that, mainly. So that you get Bryson going out first on the Friday and just trying to drive the green every single time. But that could go two ways, right? That could go two ways. If he, he doesn't tend to miss, to be fair. He tends to hit the ball pretty straight. But, if it doesn't go well, that could be advantage Team Europe. But then, obviously, if he does drive the green, I mean, that would be a pretty electric and annoying start, wouldn't it? For me, anyway.
Sure. I think that in order for him to drive the green, I think there'd have to be a little bit of wind in his back, because it's not a short hole. I mean, if you cut the dog leg, it's obviously a little bit shorter. So I think you'd have to have a little bit of wind at his back. But I think one of the reasons they also moved the tee, if I'm not mistaken, is I don't know if you had a chance to see pictures of just the stadium surrounding 18 green and 1. But I think that location just lends itself a little bit better to how they set up that incredible stadium that they've constructed over the last few weeks. It hasn't even been that long. I was at Bethpage probably about 2 months ago, and hardly anything was there. And now it's like no place I've ever seen. So,
what's that going to be like? That 1st and 18th combination. I mean, is that just going to be crazy? I mean, how many fans can fit in that area?
I apologize. I haven't done my homework. I probably should.
No, you're all good.
A little bit better, but I would think tens of thousands. Now, I don't know what number, tens of thousands. I was just having this conversation actually with someone because I think so many people are going to be attending the opening ceremonies next Thursday. And I was like thinking to myself, if there's going to be so many tens of thousands of people there, how is everyone going to be able to see it? But I think that there's they've created this unbelievable stadium that however many tens of thousands it is, they're going to be able to experience that once in a lifetime moment.
That's amazing. It's going to be so good. It's so good. I've just realised I've made such an error next weekend or this weekend when you're listening to it, because we're surprising my kids. We've taken them to Legoland.
Cool.
And but I'm sort of realising what date that we booked that for, and that's so there's going to be a lot of sort of me catching up in the evenings over the Friday and the Saturday anyway.
Yeah, but you're 5 hours ahead. You got to remember
that's true.
Should be able to
advantage us. Yeah. I might miss the morning stuff.
Just go off to the side and put it on. You can see it from anywhere.
There's a lot of queuing, to be fair. So what else are you going to do? You might as well tune in.
Actually, I probably shouldn't say this, but I know you're going to understand where I'm coming from. But I think in many ways, as excited as I am to be there every day from sunrise to sunset and beyond, I think in general, for the average viewer of this event, it's much better to watch from home, from the comfort of your couch on the TV, just because number one, Bethpage is so vast and spread out and just such a difficult course to walk in general. But
Mm,
you got to remember that there's only so many guys playing at a given time.
yes.
So it's not like a major championship where there's upwards of 100 people out on the golf course at the same time. Um, there's very, unless you're following the groups and walking around with them, there's very limited opportunity to stay in one spot and see a lot of golf.
Yeah.
So, I think that in some ways, I envy how much of the tournament you'll be able to see, whether it's from Legoland or anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it is true. I think it's a commonality in golfing events, isn't it? That you want to be there for the atmosphere, but you also just don't want to miss every single shot. And there is, unfortunately, no better way of seeing every single shot than just watching it through your TV. I mean, that's just how good broadcasting is nowadays. That you don't miss a thing. You
Absolutely.
know?
And also to your point about 1 in 18, as incredible as the structures they've made there are, who knows how many matches are getting to 18?
Mm.
I mean, for a long time, they actually thought about starting on number 2 or on a different hole to make sure that 18 had a better chance of being reached. It was concluded for whatever reason to start on 1 as it traditionally has. But it'll be interesting to see, and I don't know statistics from the past, but obviously not every match is getting to 18.
And it's going to be interesting as well because you look at some of the courses that I've been to for Ryder Cups, and there's some really famous courses in there that haven't translated as well to
Hmm.
the Ryder Cup format. But then you look at somewhere like Marco Simone last year, and it actually produced some really interesting match play moments because of some drivable par fours that in traditional tournaments would be looked at as lesser maybe and not as difficult. How do you think Bethpage is going to translate from being this prestigious golf course
Hmm.
to being a Ryder Cup golf course? Do you think it's going to be full of drama still, like it always normally is at the Ryder Cups?
Bethpage Black is a beast, and Bethpage Black can do anything. And I think one of the fascinating things about the versatility of the course, and this is true of other sites that have hosted major championships as well, but it hasn't just hosted majors. It's not that it just hosted the PGA Championship and the US Open and now the Ryder Cup. It's hosted other PGA Tour events such as the Barclays, part of the playoff series back in the early 2010s. It was a regular stop as part of the playoffs. And also it hosts events like we host the New York State Open every year, which obviously our local golf professionals and some of the best players in this area play year after year. And there's ways of setting it up to make it right for that tournament.
Mm.
So I just think, even though no matter what, and I will stick to this under any circumstances, Bethpage Black is a beast and is a challenging golf courses at the easiest of setups. Um, I think especially with amazing people like Andy Wilson, who's the superintendent who works tirelessly to um, make it the crown jewel that it is, it it can host any championship.
Right. There you go.
So,
There's the answer.
and
I
it'll
tell you
be
what, if
interesting too. I don't know if you just saw this, but today there was a press conference announcing the 2028 KPMG Women's PGA Championship at Bethpage Black, as well as
oh,
the 2033 PGA Championship. So Bethpage is going to be host to two more majors coming up over the next decade or so. And I think to your point too, especially with the Women's PGA Championship in 3 years, that golf course is particularly challenging for women, I would say. It's just because even from the
just
most public
length.
tees,
Yeah.
the length and some of the carries are extremely challenging. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, how they re-landscape the golf course for such a fantastic event for a major like that. So we're
And
excited.
to give some context for listeners as well, it hasn't come out yet, but I had Jen Saxton from ShotScope on the podcast, and she briefly alluded to the fact that I think through their data analysis of amateurs playing Bethpage, from the tees that the Ryder Cup is most likely to be played for, or championship style golf played at Bethpage, I believe there is only 2, or maybe it was, she said 3 fairways that most amateurs would actually reach.
Wow.
She just said, just on their data alone of, which is somewhat limited by the fact that obviously how many people have actually played it, used in ShotScope, just from the distance of trying to get to the fairway. And that, it gives some context of how incredible these guys are at the game of golf, if we were in no doubt already.
Well, and I'll give you one better. Going back to 2002, the U.S. Open, I was a standard bearer at that event, and on the Friday there was horrible weather conditions you're a little bit more used to on that side of the pond. It was
It's
dark.
happening right now.
I heard you guys need it though. Is that true?
Yeah, we did. We had a great summer. We can't moan. We will, but we shouldn't.
So good. I'm glad Mother Nature's giving you guys a little bit of much needed rain. But a few of especially that Friday, the 3 players that I was with, we started on the 10th tee, and none of them reached the fairway. These are professionals. These are PGA Tour professionals. The wind was howling in our face, and I just think that when they set up the course that day, they didn't anticipate the wind being as strong as it was, or whatever the case might have been. And none of the 3 players reached the fairway that day on number 10. And I'll never forget it, because I was like, am I at the wrong event?
I thought you guys were good.
Yes.
Exactly. Do we know at all what the weather's going to be? I mean, what's the early forecast looking like for a quick pause to the episode to tell you about today's sponsor, and it's something every golfer should have: Solex. Here's the deal. We all know that we should reapply sunscreen during a round, but who actually wants greasy hands on their clubs? I don't. You don't either. Solex fixes that. It's a sun cream with a built-in applicator, so you can protect your skin without messing up your grip. Just roll it on in between shots. No fuss, no excuses. And it's not just about convenience. Solex partners with the Melanoma Fund, helping raise awareness and fight skin cancer. So you're not only protecting your game, you're protecting yourself for the long term. Here's something special for you. Use code BirdieGolf15 at checkout on solex.live and you'll get 15% off your order. That's BirdieGolf15 for 15% off. So next time you're heading out for 18 holes, don't just pack your tees and balls, pack Solex too. Protect your skin, protect your swing. Now, back to the podcast.
So I spoke to my good friend Trenton Blundell, who's actually running the Junior Ryder Cup, earlier today, and he casually mentioned that as of right now, they're very pleased with the forecast.
Okay.
As a golf industry professional, I refuse to look at the weather more than 24 hours in advance because it ruins my day. I wait till I have to look because we all know that the best profession in the world is a meteorologist, because they can get it wrong 99% of the time and still have a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and even if it looks terrible, you just err on the side of it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Exactly. So, but I think things are looking, knock on wood, on the brighter side.
That's good. I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see it just sort of chuck it down with rain and the wind howl and maybe what that would bring. But for a we like it to be difficult, you see. That's what it is. But which of the, if you're looking at Team USA, which of those players, if you were to pick 3 that you would expect to perform the best based on the course, which ones would it be?
Great question. Well, first off, I have to give a shout out to our Met PGA Foundation ambassador, Cameron Young. Cameron grew up in Westchester, New York, and played on our junior tour, and I've known him since he's 10 years old, give or take. And to see his success story and his family, PGA professional David Young, and his amazing wife, Barbara, and the amazing job that they did with Cameron, not only raising him as a person, but obviously as a golfer.
Mm,
Such wonderful people. So Cameron won the New York State Open that I was talking about. He is the, I believe, only amateur to ever win the New York State Open. Um, However many years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, on that golf course on Bethpage Black. So I would say that he has home team advantage to some extent.
yeah,
Um, I think that Bryson DeChambeau will feed off of the energy of the crowd like no other. I think that whoever is following Bryson, they're going to get a lot of really, really unbelievable entertainment.
yeah,
So I think that that's going to be very special. And now you're making me pick a third too.
yeah. Go on.
Well,
I've
my
got to
third
make it.
one that I
I
would
said
have
three.
picked, well, my third one that I would have picked isn't playing, and that's Keegan Bradley, who went to
Big
college
decision.
right up the road at St. John's. Played that golf course probably more times than I can count. His golf coach at St. John's was Frank Darby, who's a very close friend of mine. And I know he had his guys out at Bethpage all the time, but uh, I think Keegan could have been a tremendous attribute to Team USA. But
Yeah.
who would be?
He.
I guess you got to go with Scotty, right? The Iceman who can win
Mm,
anywhere, anytime, anything. I think Scotty Scheffler, as usual, will be a force to be reckoned with in any format. So
he's the Thanos of golf, isn't he? He's just inevitable. He just there is my kitten, as I alluded to. Oh look, it's
you
joining
got your kid, and
joining
I got
me.
my kids.
Yeah, it's fine. It's unusual. Do you have anything to add? No, nothing to add. But yeah, I think Cam Young, he gets a lot of um, unnecessary press, I would say. Um, if you're looking at it, because of how stone cold he is out there, right? He is just. I've heard him described as the Eeyore of golf. Oh, another birdie. But you obviously seeing him from when he was, a young guy playing the game and the progression that he's made. How big do you think this is for him to be playing essentially what is his home track? His home, like this is going back home. And to be honest, maybe goes under the radar that maybe his whole career to this point was building towards this moment and qualifying for this team.
Wow, you just gave me the chills because
I don't
obviously
want that.
no, no, seriously though, he had a lot of heartbreak 2 years ago. I know when he was not chosen as a captain's pick. It was devastating for him. I think
Mm,
that um his view on golf is a little bit different than everybody else. He just plays golf. He's
mm,
not worried about showing his personality or his family life or anything else. He saves that for off the golf course. When he plays golf, and not that it's not a job for everyone else, but the way that he goes about it is golf is his job. This is what he's doing, and this is how he's focused, and this is how he's able to stay focused. And he doesn't really care about what anyone else says or thinks or wants him to do. He's Cameron Young, and the reason he is where he is today is because not only him, but especially I would give a lot of credit to his parents to set this incredible path for him and created the professional that he is. And I
mm.
would argue that it would be tougher to him to get his job done by being anything else.
Yeah, yeah. It almost comes as like a people think they have a right to know everything about
Mhm.
these guys, and for them to wear their heart on their sleeves at all times. And you've seen with the likes of Rory, sometimes it really comes back to bite you. You know, I mean, he wore his heart on his sleeve for a long time and kind of ended up sort of really struggling because of that, because it was expected every single week that he would do the same, and you can't keep it going. So, no, I think when it comes to that, it's unfair because they have every right just to go out and play the game they're really, really good at,
Yeah,
and not to have to share everything. Just yeah,
agreed. So, and
yeah,
to each their own. I mean, you know, Bryson has done such a phenomenal job of being able to be a showman
yeah,
and also play really, really, really good golf. And and if you notice, that's how he's been able to be more successful in his career. And I
yeah.
think that, Cameron doing what he's doing and in the way he's doing it is how he's able to have that success.
Exactly. You can have all different characters at the end of the day. You know, not everyone has to be the same. If everyone was the same, it would then be boring. That's what makes it. That's what makes it fun. Yeah, with Bryson, it's not difficult, and it doesn't uh, provide any sort of torn sentiments. But Crank are an official partner of the podcast, and obviously for them, I want to see Bryson just ripping drives and doing amazing work. But then equally, also, I sort of I know how good it is, and it's kind of difficult to it's difficult to see it in any other way, really. But yeah, he's been unbelievable, and I've said a few times on the podcast. A lot of people criticised him about when he said growing the game and everything like that, but you can see through the work that he's doing on YouTube and um, philanthropy that he's been doing as well that he really does have a vested interest in growing the game, and I do think he's going to be a problem for Team Europe. I do, yeah.
I
I
hope
just
so.
I think you're going to maybe see Bryson v Rory on Sunday.
Let's go.
I mean, it'll be fireworks, wouldn't it? I mean, if Rory tries to then speak to him, does Bryson then blank Rory after the Masters? You know, I mean, maybe this is what's going to happen. You know, it could be interesting. If you were to, okay, I'm going to really put you on the spot here.
Oh boy.
Dan. If you were cherry picking and you could change nationalities of 3 Europeans that you would, I'm not going to ask you to swap anybody out because
Mhm.
I know you're not going to do that. But based on the characteristics of Bethpage
Yep.
and maybe based on just your own personal, opinion of what you enjoy seeing on the golf course, which of the European team would you want to
God.
be rooting for? Sorry.
Well, since you just mentioned him and he's one of the greatest golfers, not only in the world, but to ever live, you gotta have Rory on your team. I would never bet against Rory, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I think that he's a force to be reckoned with and can play well in any circumstances. So I'll I'm recruiting Rory. I'm sorry if
I
that's
can't believe you did that straight away.
you gotta take the best. You just gotta go out there and take who you can. Um, my second pick, and this is an interesting one because he hasn't necessarily played the best, but he's played under different circumstances recently, would be John Rahm.
Mm,
And the reason I say that is because the atmosphere of live golf, I think, listen, it doesn't remotely come close to what I think this Ryder Cup will be like.
no.
But the ambience of that, a little bit more casual, a little bit more rowdy, I think possibly can work very well for him. I think that that's some like an interesting aspect of it that like maybe things won't phase him as much, just because of what he's been doing. And then you know what? Just because he's been playing so well lately and he got his first tour win, got to give some love to Tommy Fleetwood. So
Mm.
I think Tommy would be a great person to have on Team USA.
Is he going to be the hardest person to root against? from Team
Probably
Europe.
because we've all
Yeah,
been rooting for him, not only for the last couple of months, but for the last couple of years.
it's a pattern of behaviour at
For
this
his
point. You
career.
just root for Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, those three. I
You
think.
had your cat. I got my son over here and my wife who are
Oh,
both by, so it's okay. It's okay.
they're all
My
good.
fan club.
Oh, exactly. We need them. We need them. That's it. It's perfect. No, I think you make some good points there. And I think there's three pretty good picks. I think having the continuity of pretty much the same team, other than swapping in and out a twin, which is just wild that ended up being the case. It's just crazy, isn't it? I think that does help with. I think it does help with team spirit. I mean, we all know we all been involved in team sports at one point or another, and when you sort of have a collective group and you go from one match to the next, it does definitely help. But I think there's some interesting players this time on Team USA. When you look at it, I think that are potentially going to be spanners in the work because you might look over their names. You know, Russell Henley, Ben Griffin. I think Ben Griffin is a problem. You know, he's the Terminator of golf.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I also think that given that there's so many rookies or maybe lesser experienced players on the US team, I think it gives us a fresh start of people who are really hungry. I think the people on this team really want to win, and I don't think they're concerned about some of the outside noise or other things or privileges or compensation or things like that. I think they just want to win. I think they understand the magnitude of this moment. Um, New York being such a um, it's everyone's home in the United States, you know. Everyone views New York as the heart and soul of this nation in so many ways. And to have the opportunity to have this event on this stage where it's being played, uh, I don't know what could motivate these players more.
No. If they didn't get motivated and up for this, then they're not going to ever. Essentially, are they? What? Looking at that picture of the, I'm just going to move him before he
No
decides to do
problem.
that. You can come here. If you look at the broader picture of what this means for the New York area, and I guess specifically when it comes to golf as well, what do you think it's going to, the repercussions and the shockwaves of this event afterwards, and the positive impact it's going to have on the game in the area? What do you think they might be?
I love that question again. So thank you for keep asking so many great questions. Um, I think that one of the special things about New York is we have every game in town. Basketball, baseball, football, hockey. We have every major sport in this country here in New York. And I think because we have every game in town, in the past, it's that when major golf tournaments have come to this area, there hasn't been as much excitement around it just because we have everything else here.
Mm.
What I think about the Ryder Cup that's doing something that I've never seen done before, this is like the World Cup. You can't compare this to any other event in golf. This isn't your normal 72 hole stroke play tournament that we see week in and week out, that for the average golfer is exciting, but for the average non-golfer is not very exciting, and they don't understand what's going on. So to have an event like the Ryder Cup, which is a completely different format, and it's like the Olympics, you know, you're playing for your country. You're not playing for yourself. You as an individual don't matter. I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to win their matches. Who wouldn't? But
Yeah.
being able to represent your country, which I mean, for a long time until recently, there was no golf in the Olympics. Like an event like the Ryder Cup, you know, and obviously the President's Cup or some other peripheral, I call them events too, because nothing compares to the Ryder Cup. Um, we never have had an event like this of this magnitude, with the history that it has, with the passion that it has, I think for both sides, for both the European nations and obviously for each and every American, be in New York, and for people of all walks of life, golfer and non-golfers alike, to see and feel the excitement that's come to the New York area for this event, I think will also be a significant contributor to the growth of game for a long time to come here.
Absolutely. That's going to be great. And specifically for your area as well, expertise obviously in the junior side of the game.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be kids there that will look back in maybe sort of 10, 15, 20 years time, and this will be a real turning point for them, or a real pivotal moment where they've gone, I want to do that? Can you see that being the case?
100% yes. And I think one of the big reasons for that too is Cameron Young. I have to give him the credit where credit is due. As I mentioned to you, I've been a part of the Met PGA for almost 30 years, whether as a player on the junior tour, intern, full-time employee, so on and so forth. And I've seen many very talented junior golfers come through our program with a dream of wanting to make more for themselves, wanting to get to that pinnacle level of being on the PGA Tour, or even more than that, winning on the PGA Tour or LPGA Tour. And we've been fortunate that I would say on the girls' side, we have had a few young ladies who have made it to the LPGA Tour, and even one which is absolutely incredible. But I would say that Cameron Young is the greatest success story to ever come out of the New York metropolitan area, at least in decades and at least in my tenure. So if he was able to do it, if he was one of those kids out on the golf course grinding at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, then my attitude would be, why not me? Why can't I be next? And I think that that could be inspiring to this generation of junior golfers.
Absolutely. And I think with him being not a larger than life character as well, they sort of see that you can be normal.
Mhm.
You can be a freak athlete, which is what he is. I mean, he hits the ball such a long way, but you don't have to be this sort of chest out, bigger than life character that probably a lot of people will see, or even this sort of idyllic sort of character when you see like somebody like Scotty Scheffler. I mean, that's a whole different thing.
Mhm.
Whereas Cam Young's just a pretty normal guy who just likes to play golf and is really, really good at it. And he
Yeah,
just goes home,
for sure.
and probably has to make up for all the things he hasn't done whilst he's been out golfing, just like the rest of us, which is, in many ways, should be a refreshing story, really, rather than being a negative. That
Yeah.
just seems to be, unfortunately, part of the media's way of. I remember hearing Brian Harmon, who obviously didn't make the team this time, but I remember hearing him say that when he won the Open over here, um, that he just didn't understand. He never will understand why he doesn't get credited of being the underdog.
Mhm.
He's like, the underdog story was always the biggest story in sport,
Mhm.
but he's like, I'm 5 foot nothing. I don't weigh a lot. I don't hit the ball a long way, but I win golf tournaments, and yet nobody roots for me.
Mhm.
And you sort of, when you sort of take that perspective, you go, I don't root for Brian Harmon, but yet he is the underdog in that situation. And with someone like Cam Young, there's no reason not to root for Cam Young just because he doesn't give you a lot of in the interviews afterwards.
Yeah.
Did he play amazing golf? Does he get to go home to his family afterwards and just be a normal guy? That's something to enjoy. That's something to celebrate. Not
Yeah.
celebrate too much, obviously, because um, it won't matter come the end of next week because obviously Team Europe are gonna sort of retain, so it's gonna be no problem.
We'll see.
with that in mind, what would be your, always difficult to predict a score,
Yeah.
but what do you think the gap between the two scores will be? If you were given a ballpark figure.
I think that, oh, and this is also wishful thinking, but I really think that it will be a very, very, very close event. I think it's gonna really come down to the last few matches on Sunday. I just, again, it's wishful thinking, but um, I think regardless of whoever wins, it's only gonna be by uh, at most 2 or 3 points. I really feel that way.
I mean, because Marcus Simone it got interesting on the Sunday. There was a moment where there was a lot of red on the board, but because of the lead that was built, it kind of never felt too much in doubt. It felt like it was already over before the Sunday. Yeah, it'll be interesting to have like a, last 2 or 3 matches, Ryder Cup.
Yeah. um, it's, oh, geez, I don't even know where to. It's 28 points total, right?
Yeah, it's at
28.
14 retains essentially, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I hope it's 14 and a half, 13 and a half US.
Yeah, there's no better feeling than winning at the death, is there? There's no better feeling that, but you would probably take a comfortable win in your backyard.
Yep. Uh, you know what? I root for it to be close because that's what's best for the tournament. At the end of the day, regardless of who wins, if it's a bloodbath one way or the other, nobody's happy. Nobody wins in that situation. It really.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for something that for a close event, regardless of outcome. I mean, we all know who I want to win, but um, the closer it is, I think the more special and memorable it'll be.
absolutely. And I guess my final question, and probably the most important, will we see No Hat Pat?
I think he was a very controversial pick. I'll leave it at that. Um, I hope he does whatever is best for the team and not for
Mm,
anyone else and for himself or for what people want. Whatever in the inner workings of the team is going to make him produce the best golf. Um, I hope he does. Wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't a hat this time. Could be something else because you never know.
yeah,
But Patty Ice. But
there's no doubt about it. He's a phenomenal golfer.
yes,
I felt like the antics affected the team negatively more than
agreed.
positively last time. Now,
Agreed.
obviously, the Joe LaCava situation actually fired things up a little bit and gave a little bit of momentum, but then that's probably swung the wrong way because it got Rory angry, and that's probably never ideal. An emotional player who plays with his emotions. I mean, yeah, not necessarily a good idea, but it him being picked did sort of give you that moment of like, oh, okay, we're going to have another moment, which is in itself is interesting, right? As golf is an entertainment sport now,
Yeah,
that's
and
what it is.
I mean, you could go with the philosophy that no publicity is bad publicity. I guess it added something to the event that
Yeah,
non-golfers heard about it and this and that. But at the end of the day, I think that for me, other than it being a close tournament, a US victory is most important. So I think whatever each player can do to contribute to the team that's going to work for the team dynamic, not what everyone else wants, not what the fans want, not what this one wants and that one wants, just what's best for the team. And I think that that's why Captain Bradley was chosen, and I think that's why he elected not to play, because I think
yeah.
his eye is on the prize and doing anything and everything to make sure his team is in tip-top shape.
He's battling probably one of the best European captains there's ever been, just for the way he holds himself, the way he incorporates all of the things that makes Team Europe special, um,
Absolutely.
and doesn't shy away from them. Doesn't really try and change things too much either. And in that way, I think it was it's such a difficult time for Keegan Bradley to take on the captaincy,
Yeah.
because it felt like he was in a no-win situation with how well he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he qualifies for this team. He makes this team
Mm-hmm.
if he's not on it. There's no way he wasn't being picked if someone else was captain. So
I agree.
for him to take such an unselfish look at it, and to do what was best for the team, and maybe again looking at the negative publicity it would maybe get if he didn't play so well, and taking that out of the hands of the media and Team Europe and everything like that. It felt like it was such a difficult decision, and like you said, you almost feel a little bit hard done by that he's not on that team.
Yeah, if it were me, if I were him, and I don't know what was going on in his head, and I don't know conversations that were had with him from the powers that be. So there's a lot, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah,
Um, but I think if I was in his position, I might have said at that press conference for the last captain's pick that I'm resigning
yeah,
from my captaincy. God willing, the PGA of America chooses me in the future, and allows me to be a captain. But I think that my best opportunity for this team is to play. And we have a great person, Jim Furyk, Davis Love the Third. I don't know anybody.
we can do better than that.
Yeah.
He says it, and then he goes, "I would like to announce the new captain of Team USA, Tiger Woods."
You know,
Now that would be a moment.
mic drop. That, I mean,
Can
I
you
got the chills
imagine?
hearing you saying that. I think we were all, honestly, I could tell you this. We were really, really, before anything was announced and years leading up to it, we were all really hoping for a Tiger Woods captaincy because, man, I mean, I don't think
Oh,
I'll let people fill in the blanks what that could have been for the game. But
yeah. Another one would have been Phil as well, obviously, like that sort of, if anyone suits that New York environment. But I think Keegan will do an incredible job of being the captain you need.
I love Phil. I know that there's been some interesting things that have happened with him over the last number of years, but I think that all in all, with everything that he has given to the game, he deserves that captaincy at some point. And I truly hope that when the time is right, that he's given his due with that, and let's listen. There's no better story than a comeback story, you know. Um, so hopefully there's a future for the Ryder Cup and Phil Mickelson in some capacity, but right now we have Captain Keegan Bradley, and his whole heart and soul are in it, and let's see what he does.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, I hope you get to enjoy it. I take it you're gonna go for pretty all 3 days. Is that going to be the plan?
So we're actually moving in this Saturday, so I
Right.
will be on site for about 12 days straight.
Wow.
I only live about 15 or 20 minutes from Bethpage, but we also have a Met PGA house. So if I'm able to get home, just traffic wise, I'm hoping to come home as much as possible to my family, but very well could be at Bethpage, pitched in a tent for 12 days. So
Well, it's going to be an amazing experience, and I hope it all just goes as well. As I know there's a huge team behind getting an event like this to run smoothly and for everyone to enjoy it, and there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. So, um, I hope you get to enjoy the golf as well, and not sort of try and worry too much about how everything goes and everything going well. So, yeah, I hope you get to enjoy it, Dan.
thank you so much. I'm sure there'll be plenty of times to enjoy, but I'm just really grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful to get to know you better and to be interviewed by you. Big fan of your show. You do a phenomenal job. My dear
Thank you.
friend Dave Clank raves about you, and he has good taste. So whatever he says is always true. And I'm excited just for the opportunity to be here, and obviously for the next 2 weeks or so with the Ryder Cup. So appreciate everything.
No. When I reached out to thank you, Dan. When I reached out to Dave, he was like, "I know a guy. I know a guy." He's like, "Yeah." He said, he's gonna know everything you need to know, and he's the guy to talk to. So, yeah, no, I'm really glad we got to meet essentially,
Absolutely.
and to get to know each other better, and to just find out all the amazing work you're doing. So, I
Thank
hope this won't be the last time we speak. This has been very Ryder Cup centric. I would love to know more about what's involved in being part of the PGA of America, and obviously the junior golf division as well, and more of the work you do. So hopefully we can catch up in the future and talk more about that.
I would love to. There's plenty more to discuss. We haven't solved all the problems of the world yet.
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. But like I said, I hope you enjoy it, Dan. I hope
Thank
it's not the result you want, but at the same time, if it
Just when I
is,
thought we were becoming friends,
well, listen, if it is, then at least I know I've got some more American friends that I will think of and go, well, at least they're happy.
Thank appreciate that. You guys have won enough. Come on. It's our
It has
turn.
been a dominant streak. It has been a dominant streak. We'll just, look, if you do end up getting this one, we'll take a dare manor afterwards. That's fine. So
I will say this: you sure have a great captain too. I've had the honor and privilege of meeting Luke Donald several occasions. Actually, I do a little bit of singing, and I sang at the national anthem at an awards dinner where he was honored last year. And what a class act he is! So it's hard to root against him. I'll tell you that. Regardless of my American team, he is just a very special human being.
He is. He holds himself in such a great. I mean, he literally. I felt very sorry for Zach Johnson in Italy when Luke Donald just came out in fluent Italian at the opening ceremony, and it was just 1-0, like instantly. I mean, I suppose it's quite a heavily sort of Italian-based New York area. Maybe we're going to see the same again.
You never know. He's going to have to come up with a lot more languages than that in this melting pot, but
yeah. Opening speeches are going to be very interesting this time. That's
sure.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Well, I'll try and enjoy it from Legoland and then back home when I eventually get there. And I hope you enjoy it on site as well, Dan. And we'll catch up again in the future.
That sounds great to me, Dave. Again, thank you for the honor and privilege of having me. And I look forward to the next time we catch up.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan.
Take care. Be well.